Hey everyone, this is Sandip back with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how to learn programming or maybe any other skill in 2022. So let's directly jump into the video. So we are in 2022, and if I'm recording this video right, this is like a second week of January. And whenever New Year starts, right, we start making some of the resolutions and we think of making our to-do list. We think I'll do this, I'll do that. We create that bucket list, right? And we think of working on it. So if you're thinking of learning programming in 2022, I'm going to give you not at all tips and tricks. So this is not a tips and tricks video. I'm going to tell you a process, a system which you can create for yourself, and you can apply that process, that system, and you can learn any skill. So I'm going to take the example of programming, and I'm going to compare it with something special which is in my hand. This is my guitar, right? So we are going to compare and contrast this system with the guitar. So I'll do a very good comparison between guitar and programming, and I'm going to give you a process, a system which definitely works because I have practically tried it, I've applied it, and if you follow this system, this process, you're definitely going to become a programmer in 2022. Okay, so let's understand this system, this process, step by step. So I'm going to jump into the step one of this process. So step one is like picking an instrument, like I have picked up a guitar here, or picking a language. Obviously, you need to pick something. You can't say, right, I'm going to learn guitar, I'm going to learn piano, I'm going to learn singing, I'm going to learn violin, I'm going to learn so many things at once. You can try that. I mean, sometimes that systems, I'm not denying the fact that that system doesn't work. Picking up multiple instruments or picking up multiple skills, definitely do that. It depends on the number of hours or the time you have. I would suggest you start with picking one thing, one tool. Like take the example of guitar. You pick up one tool, you picked up a guitar, right? Similarly, I'm talking about programming. Similarly, you pick one language. And there are so many videos around picking a language as your first language, right? So I can give you some of the suggestions here, right? Maybe you can start with JavaScript. You can pick up Python also. So many people, so many uh, trainers, teachers, or programmers, they talk about this on YouTube, right? You go and check. There are numerous videos around it. So I would also suggest you to pick either JavaScript, or you can pick up Python also, because these are some of the languages which are easy to start and easy to get along with. Now you have picked up a tool, right? You have picked up a language. Now the next thing is you need to set some time aside every day. And when I'm saying every day, that means Sunday to Saturday. I mean, all 7 days a week, right? So, like, we eat every day, right? Do you think like not eating or not drinking a water, maybe if I take that example, right? We do that every day. Similarly, you should always, whenever you're working on any skill, right, you have to do it every day. There will be exceptions. I'm not saying that you should do it for 365 days. There are cases where that won't be possible for you, but you have to do it every day. So start with something called maybe 30 minutes a day. And if you can do it first thing in the morning, right? Programming is something which requires some brain power, right? So if you can do it first thing in the morning, 30 minutes a day, that's really going to help. And the next and the most important thing is tracking. Create an Excel sheet, right? Create an Excel sheet, put the dates on it. Let's say suppose you're starting from 15th of January, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 till 31st of January. You need to put all those dates, right? You need to track. You need to mark your progress on that. Okay, today I learned something, right? Write comments around it, create a story around it. This is really important. The tracking is actually going to tell you where are you after 1 week. So this is really important. You need to set aside 30 minutes a day, first thing in the morning probably, and if it is not possible for you, maybe you can do it at your convenience. And tracking is really important. Moving on to the step 2 of this process or a system, you need to first learn the techniques. Like take the example of guitar, right? In guitar you need to learn the technique, like the chord. So this is a C chord, this is a T chord, right? This is E chord. So you need to learn these techniques. There is something called a scale also. I'm not trying to show my guitar skills here, but I somewhere thought, taking this as an example, because this has given me a lot of inspiration, to learn anything. That's why I'm taking this example. So techniques like chords, strumming, scales, hammer on pull-ups, these are all the techniques we have in guitar. Similarly, if you take the example of programming language, programming also has techniques like creating a variable, writing a function. I'm just talking about some of the basic skills, right? Or once you know how to write a function, right, you need to do some operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And there are so many mathematical different operations that you need to do inside those functions. These are all techniques. You need to understand how to write logic, how to write conditional, how to write loops, how to create an object, how to write classes, and from those classes how to create objects. These are all the techniques. So first of all, in that 30 minutes, maybe like for first 15 days or a week's time, right, spend time on learning those techniques. Now once you have mastered those techniques, you need to practice it daily. You need to create examples. You need to maybe search on the Google all the practice exercises and everything, because without practice you are not going to learn any technique. Because take the example of this C chord, right? I'm holding my hand, and so I kept practicing this C chord like for so many days. I'm taking out my fingers, something like this, then putting them again back, taking out my fingers, putting them again back. Take the example of D chord, take the example of G chord. So all of these things, you need to you put your fingers again and again. It's all about doing it again and again. That's why, I'm giving example of guitar. This gives you a lot of patience. Similarly in programming, I'm not saying that programming is easy. It's difficult to start, but you can make it easy by following this process. So you need to understand it's going to take some time. For the first time, maybe, when you're trying to play the scale, you're going to do the mistakes. You're going to hit the wrong string. Similarly, when you're learning programming, when you're learning all those techniques, you're going to do mistakes. And you shouldn't worried about your mistakes. Mistakes are good. Learn from them, do it again and again, and I'm sure you're going to cross that barrier of difficulties when you're doing something for the first time. Moving on to the next and important step of this process, implement these techniques. So like again, I'm taking the example of chords, right? So once you have learned those chords, right, then probably you need to implement all these chords into something called a song, right? Maybe if you have learned any chord progression, so you can implement that chord progression into a song. So this is a progression probably you can apply in many different songs. Similarly, now you know the techniques of programming. You know how to create variables, writing functions, conditional logic, mathematical operation, and there are numerous things. All those techniques, like you have all those techniques in your box, right? Now implement those techniques into writing real programs. Like take the example of, maybe you can start with a really simple program of writing a fact finding a factorial of a number. You can write to-do app if you know HTML, CSS, and if you're going with JavaScript, you can write a to-do app. You can write a habit tracker app. You can write an expense tracker app. You can write any kind of calculator. So there are so many programs or so many practice examples or projects you will get on YouTube. Just search for some of the projects in JavaScript or Python and start applying all those techniques you have learned in step 2. So step 3 is again when you're going to implement all these techniques, like take the example of this chord program, and somewhere you're humming or you're singing, you're going to miss this chord progression. That's going to happen. Maybe I'm going like this. See, I'm missing something, right? Similarly, when you're going to write your programs, you're going to face challenges, and you will think, maybe man, the programming is not for me. This is not my cup of tea. It's really difficult. Nothing is difficult. This instrument is also really difficult. That's why I have picked this instrument. When you first pick up your chord, it's really difficult. You'll feel like your fingers are going to get pain. At least in programming, you're not going to get that pain in your fingers. So you just need to repeat it. Maybe if you're not able to write any expense tracker application or to do app, you can follow the videos, you can follow the tutor, whatever steps he or she has given online. Just follow those steps and write your program, and write it again and again. It's all about repetition, and it will happen that maybe if you picked up another program, you will realize how to write that program, because you have now experience in writing, imitating someone else. So that imitation is going to help you in writing your own programs. Now moving on to the step 4 of this process is a process repeat this process, I would say. So now you know the techniques, maybe 3-4 techniques you're mastered. You can learn new techniques, and you can take those techniques and apply into new programs. Like for example, I've learned the chord progression here. I can take that chord progression and apply into a new song, or I can learn a new chord progression and apply that into all different programs. I mean different songs. Similarly, the techniques you have learned, you can take those techniques and write a new application. So basically we are repeating the process. But while repeating this process, you know, to understand one thing, like in guitar, we practice all our old songs also, just to have a repertoire. Similarly, you practice your old programs, old applications also. So maybe suppose as a step 1, you created an expense tracker application. Month along a time, right? After a month, maybe, right, you are writing a new program. So you should go back to your expense tracker application and see the code once again, or maybe rewrite that application once again. So I'm not saying every day you're going to write expense tracker application only. You need to divide your 30 minutes, maybe first 10 minutes I'm going to rewrite my expense tracker application. And then I'm going to spend 20 minutes in writing a new application. So this repeat process, it's going to help you a lot, because the program which we write for the first time, and if you go back and see that program after a month's time, you get a different insight. You think, okay, maybe I should have written this code this way or that way. So you'll get a new insight for sure. That's where I'm saying you need to go back to your programs, look at your code and see the improvement area. Like in case of a song also, we look for the improvement area. If you practice a song 50 times, if you practice a song for 200 times, it's going to make a difference, because it's going to give you a new insight. Maybe I would have done this particular technique in a different way. So that will give you that kind of insight. So this is really important. And at this stage, maybe you have maybe you can start working more. Like instead of spending 30 minutes, you can increase it to 45 minutes, and first 15 minutes maybe you can first 30 minutes, I would say, you can start writing a new program, and remaining 15 minutes probably you can spend going back to your old programs and working on them. Okay, so finally, my final take on all this system and the process which I'm trying to tell you here. So it's not about learning; it's all about a system. Learning becomes secondary. First of all, the first and the most important thing, you should have that system in place, which I told you, right? You need to set aside 30 minutes. You need to track your progress. That is really important. You need to see those green or red marks in your Excel sheet, where whether you're doing it or not. Because if you're keeping all those things in your mind, you think, okay, maybe after 30 days you had practice, or you've sat down on your computer for maybe 7 days, and you think, oh man, I'm not learning anything, because you haven't tracked your progress. You haven't sat there for 30 minutes every day on all those 31 days in January month, right? So this is all about consistency. So once you have that system, that process in place, and if you're following that system, that process every day without missing a single day, right, then only you're going to see the results. And if you want to know or you want to learn about this system more, I have learned this system from a book called Atomic Habits, and that's a really fantastic, really wonderful book. It has changed my life completely. So if you want to learn about this system in detail, so I took some of the points from that system to forming this habit. You can go ahead and check out the book called Atomic Habit. So with that, I'm going to wish you all the best, and I know you're going to do something good in 2022. Just don't make resolutions on a new year. Every day is like a same day, and that's what I always think. And even if it is like maybe December, January, February, March, whenever you're watching this video, just think that it's a new year for you and it's a new day for you, and you start following the system, and you're definitely going to see the result after some time. I can't tell you the time because it depends on you. So with that, I think I'm going to stop this video. I think I have talked about a lot, but I wanted to pick up that instrument and tell you, because if you can do both, guitar and programming together, it would be really good. But if you can't do that, just do the programming, just follow the system. So thanks for watching this video, and I'm going to see you in the next video.